I always believed I was doing everything correctly, work diligently, save every penny, act responsibly. That's what grown-ups do, isn't it? At least, that's the narrative I've fed myself for the last 10 years while clocking 60-hour weeks at my accounting firm. I'm called Hannah Mitchell, 30 years old, unattached, and as of 2 weeks ago, the proud owner of my own home. When my grandmother passed away, she bequeathed me a modest sum, not life-altering, but enough to significantly offset the cost of a house. I've been meticulously saving since my first job at 22, residing in a cramped studio apartment, bringing homemade lunches, and declining trips my friends took without hesitation. While others shared Instagram snaps from Bali or splurged on designer outfits, I was putting in overtime and funneling every spare dollar into my savings. So, when I finally amassed $300,000, I purchased my dream apartment outright. No loan, no debt, just mine. It's a 2-bedroom unit, a 10-minute commute from my workplace, in a neighborhood that's not overly upscale but definitely up and coming. The previous owners had dreadful taste in wallpaper, and the kitchen could use a modern touch, but I'm unbothered. I chose to tackle the renovations myself to cut costs, and YouTube tutorials have become my nightly pastime. I was peeling off that ghastly floral wallpaper when my phone buzzed. It was my mom. "Hannah, darling, I need you to come over next Saturday for a family gathering," she said, her tone suspiciously breezy, the kind she uses when she's plotting something. "Family gathering? What's this about?" I asked, pausing my DIY project. "Oh, it's a surprise. Just be here by 4 and bring one of those chocolate cakes from that bakery near your new place." "Mom, seriously, what's going on?" I pressed, instantly wary. "Just a small get-together. Your sister, Lily, will be there with Kevin, and I've invited your aunts, uncles, and cousins too." That made me raise an eyebrow. The entire extended family for a small get-together? "Mom, it's a secret," Hannah, a surprise. "Just come, okay?" And then she hung up. I shrugged and returned to my wallpaper. Whatever scheme my mom was brewing would have to wait. I had a home to renovate. My sister, Lily, is 3 years my junior at 27 and has been with Kevin for roughly 4 years. They rent an apartment downtown. Unlike me, Lily has always had an easier path. She was a high school cheerleader while I was on the debate team. She left college to discover herself, while I slogged through my accounting degree. Yet, our parents never seemed to mind her choices. Growing up, it was always about Lily. When we both had dance recitals the same weekend, guess whose performance my parents attended? When we graduated, they threw Lily a lavish party for finishing high school, while my college graduation earned a dinner at Olive Garden. I still recall my 16th birthday when I received a secondhand bike, but Lily got a car for hers the following year. When I questioned my parents, they said, "Lily needs more help getting to her social events," as if my debate competitions and library volunteering were insignificant. But I've never been one to cause a fuss. I just worked harder, saved more, and showed I could stand on my own. The week passed quickly as I continued fixing up my apartment. I stripped all the wallpaper and began priming the walls for paint. The sense of achievement from seeing my progress was worth every callus on my hands. When Saturday came, I woke early to finish painting the living room before heading to my parents' house. I stopped by the bakery, as instructed, and grabbed a chocolate cake with buttercream frosting, my mom's favorite. Driving to my childhood home, I pondered what this family gathering could possibly entail. My parents' house, a 2-story colonial, was inherited by Lily and me from our grandmother. We allowed our parents to keep living there, of course. It never crossed my mind to do otherwise. The house held a mix of fond and painful childhood memories. As I pulled into the driveway, I spotted several familiar vehicles: Uncle Steve's truck, Aunt Karen's minivan, and Cousin Derek's motorcycle leaning against the garage. Whatever this was, it was a major family event. I took a deep breath, grabbed the cake box, and walked inside. "Hannah's arrived," my mom announced as I entered. She gave me a brief hug and snatched the cake from my hands. "Right on time. We're about to sit down." I glanced around the living room. Lily and Kevin were on the couch, holding hands and murmuring to each other. My dad was chatting with Uncle Steve in the corner, while Aunt Karen and my cousins headed toward the dining room. "What's happening?" I asked Lily as I approached. She gave a cryptic smile. "You'll find out." That did little to ease my growing unease. I followed everyone to the dining room, where Mom had set the table with her fine china reserved for Thanksgiving and Christmas. This announcement was clearly significant. I sat next to Cousin Derek, who seemed as puzzled as I was. "Any idea what this is about?" I whispered. He shook his head. "No idea. Your mom just summoned us all for some big reveal." The meal was served: pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans, and the cake I brought sat at the table's center for dessert. Everyone made small talk, carefully sidestepping the obvious tension in the room. Finally, after plates were filled, my mother stood, tapping her glass with a spoon. "Thank you all for being here today," she said, beaming. "We have exciting news to share." She stood at the head of the table, her smile almost too wide as she looked at Lily. "Our beloved Lily is expecting," she declared. The room burst into cheers and congratulations. Lily blushed as Kevin wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "And they're getting married," Mom added. "Wedding plans will come soon." I clapped along with everyone, genuinely pleased for my sister despite our complex history. "Congrats, Lily," I said, smiling across the table. But Mom wasn't done. She exchanged a glance with Dad and Lily, then turned to me with an expression that made my stomach sink. "That's not all," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. "We have another announcement." The room quieted. Everyone looked at Mom expectantly, including me. "As you all know, Hannah recently purchased her own apartment," Mom said, gesturing toward me. Relatives nodded, some muttering congratulations they hadn't bothered with when I first shared the news 2 weeks ago. "Hannah is 30, single, no husband, no kids, not even a partner," Mom continued. My face flushed. What did my personal life have to do with anything? "Lily, on the other hand," Mom went on, "is about to start a family. She and Kevin need a proper home, not some rented place." My heart raced as I realized where this was headed. I glanced at Lily and Kevin, who stared at their plates. Mom turned to me, her smile now sharp as a blade. "Hannah, this is your opportunity to show how much you care for your sister, how generous you can be. I think you should give your new apartment to Lily and Kevin." The dining room fell silent. I stared at my mother, waiting for the punchline to this cruel joke, but it never came. "You can go back to renting," Mom added nonchalantly, as if she wasn't asking me to surrender my $300,000 apartment. "You don't need all that space just for yourself." I looked around the table. My father nodded in agreement with Mom. Lily finally met my gaze, her face a mix of embarrassment and expectation. "That's a great idea," and Karen chimed in. "Family always comes first." Several relatives nodded. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment suggestion. It was a calculated ambush. "You're not serious," I finally said. "Of course I am," Mom replied, her tone hardening. "Your sister needs it more than you." I stood slowly, my chair scraping the floor. "Let me be clear. You want me to give Lily my apartment, the one I worked 60-hour weeks for years to afford, the one I bought with my inheritance from Grandma and 8 years of savings? You want me to just hand it over because Lily's pregnant?" "Hannah," Dad interjected, his tone cautioning me to back down. "Don't be selfish." "Selfish?" I laughed, the sound empty. "I earned that apartment, every cent of it, without anyone's help." "But Lily needs," Mom began. "No," I cut her off. "Absolutely not. I'm not giving my apartment to Lily. It's mine. I earned it." Lily burst into tears, her hand dramatically pressed to her still flat stomach. Kevin glared at me as if I'd committed a crime. "How can you be so cruel?" Mom demanded, her face red with anger. "Your own sister. How can you ask me to give up everything I've worked for?" I shot back. "Why doesn't Lily work and save like I did?" Relatives whispered among themselves, muttering phrases like "so materialistic" and "always the difficult one." "You've always been like this," Mom spat. "Always thinking only of yourself." "I'm not giving her my apartment," I said firmly. End of story. What happened next still replays in my mind in slow motion. Mom grabbed the chocolate cake I'd brought, untouched at the table's center, and threw it at me with surprising force. It hit me full in the face, cream and chocolate splattering across my cheeks, dripping down my neck onto my shirt. The room went silent. I wiped the frosting from my eyes, letting chunks of cake fall to the floor. Dad and Lily didn't look shocked or horrified. They seemed satisfied, as if I'd gotten what I deserved. Without a word, I grabbed my purse and keys and walked out, cake still smeared across my clothes and hair. Behind me, I heard shouts. "Selfish jerk." That was Mom. "We should disown you." Dad called. "How could you do this to me?" Lily wailed. I got into my car, hands trembling, so much I could barely turn the key. Somehow I drove home, chocolate frosting drying on my skin. I collapsed onto my old secondhand couch from my rental and tried to process what had happened. My phone buzzed almost immediately with texts and calls from my parents and Lily. "You're being absurd. Just give her the apartment. I can't believe how selfish you're being after all we've done for you. Your pregnant sister needs a home." I turned off my phone and tossed it aside. What had they ever done for me? My whole life, I'd been second to Lily. When we were kids and both needed school clothes, Lily got brand names while I got clearance items. When we applied to summer camps, they funded Lily's art camp but said my debate camp was too pricey. For Lily's 16th birthday, they threw a huge party with a professional DJ. For mine, Mom baked a cake and invited 2 relatives. And now they expected me to give her my apartment, the one thing I'd achieved entirely on my own. I thought about the house we were in an hour ago, my grandmother's house, left equally to Lily and me in her will. We'd let our parents live there out of kindness, never asking for anything in return. I was half owner of that house, just like Lily. Suddenly, I knew exactly what to do. The next morning, I woke with a plan. I dug through my filing cabinet until I found the folder labeled Grandma's Will. Inside was the document confirming that Lily and I each owned 50% of our parents' house. They lived there by our permission, not by legal right. I was about to call a lawyer when my phone pinged with a Facebook notification. My mother had tagged me in a post. With dread, I opened the app and nearly dropped my phone. It breaks my heart to share this, but sometimes family lets you down in the worst ways. Yesterday, my daughter Hannah refused to help her pregnant sister, Lily, when she needed it most. Despite having the means, Hannah chose selfishness over family. As a mother, I've never been more heartbroken. Please pray for Hannah to find kindness in her heart. The post had dozens of comments, mostly from relatives and family friends. I was there. Hannah was cruel to poor Lily. Some people don't understand family. Keeping an apartment to herself when her sister's pregnant? Shameful. Not one mentioned how my mother threw a cake in my face. Not one questioned why I should give up my hard-earned apartment. I scrolled through the comments, each one a stab to my heart. My mother was liking and responding to the harshest ones, orchestrating a public shaming campaign. That was when something inside me broke. The last shred of family loyalty snapped. I called the first real estate attorney I found online, Blackwell Law Office. "I need to speak with a lawyer about property rights," I said, my voice steady. 2 hours later, I sat across from Jeremy Blackwell, a sharp-eyed man in his 50s, who listened as I explained everything. "Let me clarify," he said when I finished. "You and your sister inherited a house from your grandmother. You've let your parents live there rent-free. Now, after they demanded you give your apartment to your sister and publicly shamed you for refusing, you want to know your options regarding the house." "Yes," I confirmed. "I don't want to be spiteful, but they've shown me no respect. I need to know my rights." Jeremy reviewed the will and nodded. "It's straightforward. You and your sister each own 50% of the property. You can request the house be sold, and the proceeds split between you and Lily." "What's the process?" I asked. "I'll draft a formal notice stating your intent to sell your half. Your sister can either buy you out at market value, or the house must be sold and the proceeds divided. Your parents have no legal say." I took a deep breath. "Do it." For the next few days, I focused on my apartment renovations. I'd finished painting the living room and started tearing out the old carpet. The physical work kept my mind off the family chaos. I blocked their numbers temporarily. I needed clarity without their constant harassment. 5 days after meeting Jeremy, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw my parents, Lily, and Kevin in the hallway. I didn't open the door. "Hannah, we know you're there," my mother yelled. "Open this door now. We need to talk about this absurd letter," my father boomed. I stayed silent, recording on my phone's voice memo app. "You ungrateful wretch," my mother screamed. "After all we've done for you. You're trying to make your pregnant sister homeless," Lily cried. "This is low even for you," Kevin added. I recorded every threat and insult for nearly 15 minutes until they left. The next day, I sent the recording to Jeremy. "This is harassment," he said firmly. "We can file for a restraining order if needed, but this strengthens your case." A week later, Jeremy called with news. "Your parents' lawyer reached out. They want to mediate." The mediation was scheduled for the following Monday at Jeremy's office. I arrived early, dressed in a navy pantsuit I usually wore for major client meetings. Jeremy greeted me confidently. "You have every legal right to do this. Don't let them guilt-trip you." My parents, Lily and Kevin, arrived with their lawyer. My mother shot me a venomous look. "Traitor," she hissed as she passed. The lawyer outlined the facts. My parents' lawyer argued that selling the house would cause undue hardship. Jeremy countered with a recorded harassment and social media posts as evidence of their behavior toward me. After 2 hours of debate, the lawyers conferred privately and returned with a settlement. The house would be sold, and the proceeds split equally between Lily and me, as per our grandmother's will. My mother burst into tears. "Please, Hannah," she sobbed, switching tactics. "We're your family. How can you do this? I'm sorry about the cake. I lost my temper." I looked at her tearful face, recalling all the times I'd forgiven her, all the times I'd accepted being less than Lily. I thought of the public humiliation, the harassment at my door, the demand to give up everything I'd worked for. "The house will be sold," I said calmly. "That's final." Jeremy nodded and began drafting the agreement. As we waited, I felt my family's resentment radiating toward me. I no longer cared. For the first time, I was standing up for myself. 2 months passed in a whirlwind of legal documents and property showings. The house sold quickly, the market was strong, and the location was desirable. After fees, Lily and I each received just over $175,000. I didn't speak to my family during this time. All communication went through lawyers. Jeremy told me my parents were furious but powerless to stop the sale. They'd been living in a house they didn't own for years, contributing only basic upkeep. "What are they doing now?" I asked Jeremy at our final meeting. "Your sister is using her share as a down payment on a new house," he replied. "Your parents are moving in with her and Kevin. They've secured a mortgage for the rest." I nodded, feeling a mix of emotions. Part of me felt remorse for forcing my parents out of their home, but another part, the one that recalled the cake in my face and the public shaming, felt justified. "What about you?" Jeremy asked. "Any plans for your share?" "Investments," I said. "I'm working with a financial advisor to build a diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, and real estate trusts." "Wise choice," he said approvingly. "Unless there's anything else, we're done here." I shook his hand. "Thank you for everything." Walking out of his office, I felt unburdened, as if I'd shed a lifelong weight, the burden of always being the dutiful one, the one who compromised, the one who sacrificed. Back at my apartment, I admired my progress. The renovations were nearly done: new hardwood floors, fresh paint, updated kitchen appliances, and modern lighting. It was truly mine now in every way. My phone rang. It was Sarah, a work friend. "Hey, Hannah, how are you holding up?" she asked, concerned. I'd shown up to work with red eyes after the cake incident. "I'm okay," I said, realizing it was true. "The house sale is done, and the money's in my account." "And your family?" I sighed. "Still a mess. I haven't spoken to them. I hear updates through mutual friends." "Like what?" "Lily's wedding was last month, a small event, close family only." I paused. I wasn't invited, obviously. "I'm sorry, Hannah." "Don't be. I wouldn't have gone. I meant it. She's due to give birth soon, a boy, I hear. You're okay with all this? Not seeing your nephew?" I thought for a moment. He'll grow up hearing I'm the bad guy who wouldn't give up her apartment and force them to sell their house. They won't mention how they treated me my whole life. Sarah was quiet. "Families are messy." "That's an understatement," I said with a humorless laugh. "The thing is, Sarah, I don't think they ever saw me as family, just someone to use when it suited them. Do you think you'll ever make up?" "Not unless they own up to what they did and apologize sincerely." I knew that would never happen. My parents had favored Lily their whole lives. They wouldn't suddenly change in their 60s. After we hung up, I poured a glass of wine and stepped onto my small balcony. The sunset painted the sky in hues of orange and pink. 6 months ago, the thought of being estranged from my family might have crushed me. Now I felt oddly at peace. My phone pinged. A text from another friend. Lily had the baby. 7 pounds 6 ounces. Everyone's fine. I stared at the message, waiting for some emotion, sadness, anger, regret, but felt only a distant recognition, like news about a stranger. They were all living together now. Lily, Kevin, the baby, and my parents, in a house bought with Lily's share and a 30-year mortgage they'd be paying into their retirement. I couldn't muster sympathy. They'd made it clear I was just a resource to them, not a daughter or sister. My apartment was quiet as I stepped inside. Some might call it lonely. I called it serene. The walls I painted, the floors I laid, every inch was a testament to my independence, my refusal to be exploited. On my bookshelf sat a small box of family photos, only those of my grandmother and me. She'd always treated Lily and me equally, perhaps seeing the favoritism and trying to balance it with her will. "Thank you, Grandma," I whispered, touching the box. As for the rest of my family, I had no urge to reach out. The ball was in their court, and I doubted they'd ever play it. I'd learned that family, blood or not, doesn't ask you to destroy yourself for their gain. They don't throw cake in your face for standing your ground. My phone stayed silent. No apologies from Mom, no acknowledgement from Dad, no gratitude from Lily for the years I spent in her shadow without complaint. And that was okay. I had my apartment, my investments, my career, and friends who truly cared. I had a life I'd built, brick by brick, dollar by dollar.